Ferndale Food's second-generation owner Leigh Edward goes about running his multi-million-dollar family business in a very refreshing way. He's strong on values, considered in his approach, and avoids trying to be anything he isn't. As a result, Ferndale are the producers of some of Australia's biggest privately owned confectionery brands. It's episode 646 of the 14-year-old award-winning Small Business Big Marketing podcast that reeks of the sweet, sweet smell of success.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back to your weekly dose of down-to-earth marketing. I'm your host, Timbo Reid, and I have an insatiable curiosity for uncovering marketing ideas that help businesses just like yours to grow. And I do that by having a weekly in-depth conversation with successful business founders that have walked the path before us. You, infinitely more importantly, are a motivated business owner and you're ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. As per usual, team, there's marketing G-O-L-D dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in. A very, very big thank you to the following motivated business owners who've joined my Patreon membership recently. They include Mitch Van Vliet of Creative 48, Janelle Shembry of Brand Factor, long time listener, Janelle, thank you so much. Dave Noble of Oz Drug Tests, Bronwyn Tyrrell of No Fixed Address, don't know Bronwyn's business, and Tim Karagias of Extension Fitness. Thank you guys for supporting the work I do for small business. It's so appreciated. Hey, if you're yet to join, then give it some consideration, as I'm pretty damn confident that the tax-deductible $47 a month investment, and that's Aussie dollars for you overseas peeps, and the $47 is for my middle tier, which I call Silverama. It'll pay for itself in no time thanks to the 49 marketing ideas I've put to video, the 9 productivity tool reviews that will save you a bunch of time and a bunch of dough, and the 16 video interviews I've posted so far. And I'm adding new content every week. I'm really proud of what is inside that membership. Really proud. It's become an archive, a treasure trove of great marketing insights and ideas for you. Head over to patreon.com/marketing podcast for a free 7-day trial of the silver tier. You've really got nothing to lose and plenty to gain, as a number of members have already made back their monthly investment time and time again. That's patreon.com/marketing podcast. Now, I can't really put my finger on it. However, there's something about the way regional-based family-owned businesses are run that I find an absolute joy to hear about. Now, whilst I'm generalising, the owners of these types of businesses seem to go about growth a little differently to those in the big smoke that aren't family-run. They're often run on a strong set of values passed down through the generations. They're in less of a rush to do anything really than their big city cousins, and they create great working environments that attract good quality staff. And who doesn't want good quality staff, eh? Today's special guest, Leigh Edwards, second generation owner of Ferndale Foods in regional Victoria, is a great example of this. Started in 1995 by Leigh's old man in response to a gap in the market for low sugar confectionery products, Ferndale is the creator of global confectionery brands including Gila Mints, Joel's Pastilles, Liquorettes, and they even produce Blitz Mints for supermarket chain Aldi. Turning over $35 million annually and employing over 60 staff, this is a great story that builds on the message of last week's episode with Mez from Wholesome Bowl. Stick to your values, avoid being anything you're not, and slowly but surely build a business loved by all. Now, we cover plenty of marketing ground in this chat with Leigh, including his approach to branding, which I love, packaging. Haven't had that discussion for a while, and Leigh nails packaging. Innovation, they've got a great process. Risk-taking, manufacturing, plus he's had some solid insights into how to best navigate the fragmented media landscape we're all confronted with in 2023 and beyond. So let's go meet Ferndale Foods owner Leigh Edward. Leigh Edward of Ferndale Foods, welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Podcast.
Timbo, thanks for having me.
Now, Leigh, I'm excited for this interview for two reasons. You produce brands I've admired for a long time. Plus, I'm going to pitch you 3 ideas for new confectionery lines later in the chat.
Look forward to it. I see many, so let's see which one we can commercialise.
I have no doubt. Everyone's got an idea, mate, when it comes to lollies.
Correct, and I've seen most of them, I assure you.
Good. Well, I'll be interested to hear what you think. I mean, I do it half jokingly, but why not have a crack? Now, let's start back in 1995, Leigh. You start every sales meeting, you tell me, with the Ferndale story. Why do you do that, and what is it? Treat this as a sales meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the industry that we're in is dominated by global multinationals, and buyers and customers alike really still love to support Australian family-owned. And over the past 5 or 10 years, I think that's even more true than ever. Some of the big retailers in Australia do get a pretty bad rap, but we are absolutely thankful for them, because without their support, we wouldn't have grown over the last 28 years like we have. But if we roll back to 1995, my father, Bruce Edward, founded the company after working at Mars Australia for 20 years. And Bruce tells a wonderful story where he was actually employee 001 of Mars Australia.
Wow.
He was recruited by the Mars family, and essentially was given the mandate, him and I believe 2 other people, to build the Mars factory, the first one in Australia. And over the next 20 years, Bruce went on to build M&M's plants, Maltesers, Snickers lines. And in the early 90s, actually was global brand manager for Snickers, which at the time was the biggest snack food on the planet. So had a really good job. A
fair pedigree.
He calls it the blue sky job. His job was to sit on his chair with his feet on the desk and look into the future and see where the Mars business was going. And in our family, we have a long history with diabetes. And Bruce had a bee in his bonnet that, although he was, the head of the biggest snack food on the planet, he couldn't give any samples to his family or friends because they were full of sugar. And if anyone's ever met Bruce, they would know that when Bruce gets a bee in his bonnet, it's either a really good day or a really bad day. And so with that, he stepped away from the Mars business, wrote a business plan for 2 years, mortgaged the family home, and in 1995 he built what he calls a wrapping room here in Dallacombe to make better for you, guilt-free treats.
What an incredible story. I mean, as you say, he's got a blue sky job. He would have been on a fair wicket working at Mars for so long. Clearly had enough of corporate. I call him a cubicle escapee. He's stopped. He's had enough working for the man, and clearly had a big idea that he needed to bring to life. And a bit of backing, I suppose. You say he mortgaged the house, so maybe not. Yeah,
so it was the thing that we are still very proud of here at Ferndale Foods Australia is we are 100% family owned, and have never, succumbed to the influence and temptation of outside capital. And I guess over the past 28 years, as the business has grown, Bruce's style early days was to work very hard, save up all your pennies, and then spend it either on marketing or new machinery, TV commercials, new markets.
Just put it all back into the business.
Put it all back in, and as recent as the last 12 months, we've tipped in another 20 million to Foodline, which is the latest venture that no doubt we'll talk a bit more about coming up.
What an incredible story. And do you remember, so you're a young bloke back in 95, you're probably, you're still at school while your old man's leaving corporate and starting this, or not quite?
Yeah, so I was 10 years old.
10 years old.
And so I'm 37 today, so for 27 years I've been in and around the facilities. And
you're like, bloody ripper, Dad's going to start a lolly factory, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And my older brother was Dad's first employee. He was on the packing line with a few of his friends from school. And even as as a 12-year-old, and workplace laws probably wouldn't allow it today, but I know me and my friends used to sit around the table and put export stickers on packets because, the volume wasn't enough that we could get packaging printed. So we used to just put stickers on original Australian packets to send to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, etc. And that was how we developed Pocket Money. And, there's employees here today that have been with us for, 20, 21 years. And I remember when they started because I was still in my school uniform, waiting for mum and dad to finish work.
You do a couple of things that, it must be very hard to resist venture capital money, and it must be very hard to resist not manufacturing offshore, Leigh. Two things that could save and make you a lot more money. Clearly not the priority.
Yeah, I think our business is set up on a cornerstone of foundation principles, which are quality and value. And we believe that we can control both of those things internally a whole lot better than if you have, I guess, inputs, from various parts of the world where you don't, have touch points on them. And the capital side of things, Bruce and I are both big believers that in order to control your own destiny, financial stability, without the pressure of banks and covenants and boards and shareholders, etc., are how you do control that. And we have absolutely no doubt that we could have accelerated growth with capital. We could have, done bigger, better, more often with outside capital. However, as a family, living within your means is exactly our mandate. We do what we know we can afford to do, and we do what we know we can control within our own means. And that, I guess, principle is done us really well. And, we started the first factory in 5 Paddy's Drive in Dallacombe in 95. And we now have, 2 more factories within a 200-metre radius of that. And all of that is 7 minutes from my home. I drop my kids at school and I put them to bed every night. And that's a lifestyle that I like. And I'm, people that know me will know that I'm not a big city skyscraper type of guy. I enjoy the local footy on a Saturday, and, I enjoy taking the dog for a walk after work. And so I think growing a big business is absolutely something I'm passionate about, but not at the expense of a healthy lifestyle with my wife, kids and friends.
Mate, well said. Was that drilled into you by your old man, or have you got mates in corporate that you just see killing themselves, or where's that come from?
For me, I think, I was born and bred on a 400-acre cattle property. And Bruce, when he was building Ferndale, on the weekends he used to breed cattle and goats. And that I guess, back to realisation, like in the corporate world, you can do whatever you want, but if there's a pen of 20 steers that don't want to go through the gate, it brings you back down to earth pretty quick. And
they win.
So I think that ability to, I guess, detach yourself from, the work scenarios is what keeps the brain fresh. And
there's a lot of business owners listening, Leigh, who go, yeah, that's all very well, but I'm stuck in my business. I probably would imagine a lot of those who are saying that to themselves right now are control freaks, and I line up to that. Mm-hmm. You're clearly not.
I was. The answer is I was. Huh. For the I guess first period of time in this business, it was essentially when Dad stepped away and retired, 10 odd years ago. It was Leigh Incorporated, and Leigh did everything from the books to the new brands to the packaging to all of that sort of stuff. And
why?
Because I was a control freak,
right.
and I believed that if I wanted things done right, I would do it my way. But it got to the point where I was simply out of control, and rather than doing things to the quality and standard that we expected, and my father as the owner expected, and my customers expected, that wasn't happening. I was doing a lot of things well and nothing great. And so it was that point in time that I said to myself, well, Leigh, you need to step out of factories. There's no value in you fixing a conveyor belt. There's no value in you unloading the truck. And so with that, we decided that the investment we needed to make was in people. And so put in an outstanding operations manager, now have an outstanding quality R&D team, and all of the, structure that goes beneath that.
Leigh, who tapped you on the shoulder?
It was, to be honest, it was probably partly my wife or my wife-to-be. But also internally, I just realised I wasn't very happy, and I was exhausted. I was stressed. Used to go to the gym after work. Wasn't doing that anymore, and it just got to a point where I didn't really want to do it anymore. And I knew that wasn't me, because I've lived and breathed lollies and confectionery, since 1995. So just having that moment.
So have I.
Yeah, and it actually started. I'll be straight up and down here for a period of around 7 weeks. I took every Tuesday off, and on that Tuesday, I went down the back paddock in my farm, and I lit a bonfire and just turned my phone off and just got away from it all, and that sorted me out. That day away, just to have some me time, sorted me out, and during that time, I wasn't answering phones. I wasn't making product. I was thinking, what is the way out? And that's when I sort of came to Dad and said, Dad, look, I want to be here for the long term. I think this business has got amazing potential. It is outgrown you, me, and the small network that we have. Let's go, but let's go with good people. And that was the first thing that we did, was get good people before we worried about pursuing growth. We set up the structure, then we pursued the growth.
Was there a secret sauce to getting good people? Because I know if I ask any of the 640 or so business owners I've interviewed, what's your number one business problem? They'll say people. How'd you go about it? Is it just the nature of building a great brand and they will come? And I want to talk to you about that very shortly. But what was the...
I think for us, we took the blinkers off, and we didn't seek people that had necessarily been in confectionery or had worked in, the big factories that are our competitors. And I'll use my operations manager as an example. He'd been in the packaging industry for the last 19 years. In one factory in Melbourne, clearly dedicated, clearly a hard worker, clearly big teams, and he was jack of that. So he came to me and said, look, I know nothing about food, but I know a whole lot about people, process. And so for us, it was, broadening the horizons of the type of people that you can employ. And Wes has brought a set of skills that I didn't have. And so we complement each other. And over the past 2 to 3 years, he's learnt about food. We taught him about food. And I think that's been the difference. It's been finding good people with a skill set, maybe not the right skill set, but bring them in and then teach them the specifics.
Train them up. Leigh, I want to get stuck here. There's so much I want to talk to you. I want to talk about branding, packaging, products, and I've got some ideas to pitch you, mate. We're going to get rich. And then, but it started in 95. It's 2023 now. Just give us the top line, 3 or 4 stats to give us all a sense of the size of Ferndale these days. Can you talk turnover, number of staff, number of clients, countries, whatever you got there?
Yep. So started 1995. That business ran for the best part of 22 years. In 2017, we built Australia's largest dedicated marshmallow manufacturing facility.
Love it.
Called the SoSoft Marshmallow Co. SoSoft in 5 short years has doubled the revenue of the business, and is now around 30% market share in Australia. But we supply virtually every marshmallow that's not a Pascal marshmallow in Australia would likely come out of our facility. through to McDonald's, Darrell Leigh, the Rockley Road, all that marshmallow comes out of our facility.
Leigh, here's my marshmallow idea, mate. I'm cutting to the chase.
Go.
Chili infused marshmallows, and they're called Harshmallows.
Harshmallows.
It's a winner.
It's an absolute winner, and I can already picture the
Thank you.
Picture the packaging with a nice Mexican
Good, mate.
sombrero on the front.
Little sombrero on the marshmallow. Oh, geez. We might finish this interview now, buddy, and just get the business plan going.
That might be where I struggle with staff. I think is the production crew to make that. But
tell us what's the turnover in 2023, number of staff. Just give us a sense of size right now.
Okay, so currently I employ around 70 people. Mm-hmm. The group will turn over around 35 million this year. And with the new site, which we're currently commissioning, Foodline Australia. So Foodline will be Australia's largest independently owned bar manufacturer. And that's been a $20 million investment by the family. And all roads are leading to a turnover somewhere north of 60 million within the next 12 to 14 months.
Geez, that's a good payoff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the market has been demanding this facility. Aldi, as an example, who's an absolute superstar customer of ours, import all of their chocolate bars. They don't do it because they want to, they do it because they have to. And so we're essentially building the customers what they want. Mm-hmm. And the mantra of you build it and they will come is what we've done for the last 28 years.
What an opportunity. What an opportunity. Leigh, you've got some, let's talk branding, because when the pitch for interviewing you came across my desk the other day and I had a look at it, I said, what do these guys make? Gila Mints, Joel's Confectionery, the famous little liquorettes. I was 100% under the impression they were all from overseas, those brands. Mm-hmm. And here they are coming out of regional Victoria. Absolutely fantastic. What does you're clearly very good at branding at Ferndale. What does branding mean to you?
I think for us, a lot of businesses approach it, they will, develop a brand and then develop a proposition and then try to sell it to the customer. We're very different in the sense that we will find out what's missing, what's the gap, develop a product to fill the gap, and then work out how to sell it. The last thing we generally do is develop the brand name in the box or the brand name in the bag. It's all about that positioning, who it's for, what are we trying to solve, what problem are we trying to solve, what issues do customers have with eating a sugar mint? Do they want a sugar-free mint? Do they want a natural colour, natural flavour mint? And really defining, I guess, the marketing brief or the positioning document, mm-hmm. and then working, I guess, that it's an interesting story. Gila Mints and Joel's. Everyone says why are they 4 letters and start with J? And the answer is because they fitted on the lid. you can't have the natural confectionery company on a box that's 25 mil wide.
Well, we need to describe to those who don't know the product, particularly if they're overseas, maybe. But it's almost like do you want to describe? I was going to say a mini cigarette packet.
Correct, absolutely, and. Those that are probably a little older than me often say a Gila Mint packet looks like an old versions of Rothman cigarettes.
Yes, they do.
It's the white box with the blue lid. It's a click shut lid, and it's a pocket pack. That's how we sell our products. It's a pocket pack. Everything we sell at Ferndale can fit in your pocket.
Right.
And we also do tins, so the Blitz tins in Aldi. Which is Australia's highest selling confectionery item when it comes to units. And everything at Ferndale is about a pocket pack. And then So Soft Marshmallow Company, I think the brand speaks for itself. That's exactly the consumer proposition that we were trying to deliver. And the easiest way to tell them what it is in the brand.
What do you attribute the strong brands, like with Gila, Joel's and Liquorette? They are strong brands. Is it and I'm sure it's a mix of all of these things, but packaging design, age, distribution, advertising.
Yeah.
What is it
I think,
about?
It sounds like you've read our internal mandate here. We have a hierarchy for building successful brands, and it's essentially quality, value, availability, advertising, and promotion.
Oh, there you go.
And it is a hierarchy because there's no use moving down that hierarchy if a higher order's not satisfied. So
Quality number one, best marketing is a great product.
Correct, and there's no use having availability of products that are poor quality or poor value. There's no use having great value if they're poor quality, and there's no use promoting something that's not available everywhere. So until we get, I guess, each of those hierarchies satisfied, we don't move on. And the quickest way to lose money or go broke is to try and chase a lower hierarchy attribute when a higher order is not satisfied.
Yeah, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, mate. You got to meet the top one before you work your way down.
Absolutely.
Elephant in the room time, Leigh, and I may be the first person who ever raised this, but as a buyer of Gila and Joel's, I've always struggled with the names. Mm-hmm. They're not names that come naturally to my mind, like a Tic Tac, yeah? Mm-hmm. Or a Snickers. For some reason, I mean, sure, they've had millions and millions and millions of dollars spent on the advertising. I get it. But
yeah,
am I the only one that's ever said that?
No, you are. That's okay. I think the critical thing in our space is because we are a impulsive pocket pack, that the most important part of our strategy is being within 1.5 metres of the register. And over 28 years, that is what we and everyone else fights for. And once you get that space, you got to fight like buggery to keep it. Because
how do you get it?
You get it with a bit of good luck. To be honest, you get it with investment if you've got it. But once you've got it, it's then up to the brands to stand on their own 2 feet because you can't continually fund, what
if you haven't got the investment? What you're saying is you've got to pay for position. What if you haven't got the dough? You still got a shot at
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's some gun sales teams in Australia, and, I'll represent one of my sales reps here that works for me. He's been with me 21 years and has spent 21 years in the eastern suburbs in Melbourne. And if you go to any pharmacy, IGA, school canteen, university in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, you will more than likely see a Ferndale confectionery stand, of which we don't pay for any of them.
Right. So he's just he's got a good lip.
Yeah, and I think also independent retail, like they get it. They support the family business. They support the local brands, and once you get that space, the brands have to perform, and retailers won't move something that's selling.
Actually, only last week, I interviewed Mez Jamali. He's the co-founder of the Wholesome Bowl, Australia's newest instant noodle brand, and he was working because I was quite fascinated how he was getting into Coles and Woolies, which he's not yet, but he was using the independents, because they're a bit more approachable, and they like to test new product. It's a testing ground for new product, and if it works there, then the big boys will see it and they'll bring it into the big stores. But I got to admire a young bloke trying to crack into FMCG. It just seems bloody hard. I want to talk to you about packaging, Leigh. You have these flick lid packagings that seem to be absolutely an integral point of difference, which you've kind of said they are. It's got to fit in your pocket. But what I love about it, I don't think many brands cover all these senses, but you tick look and, great design, feel. It feels it's fun to hold. It's tactile. Sound. You've got this there's a sound to the lid clicking in and out. The lid even works as a tray for the mints to fall into. I mean, I just love the fact that you've covered so many senses, clearly on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some brands, and we've been guilty of it in the past too, can actually lose sight that what's inside the box is the most important. We actually believe that the packaging holds just a bigger place in the consumer's heart as what's inside it. And that whole, quality value scenario, that applies to the ingredients, it applies to the packaging, and it applies to, the quality of the execution in store. And for us, packaging, we have to have a unique point of difference. And that's so important as a small business trying to grow, that you have to have a unique point of difference and you have to have a competitive point of difference. And for us, and in this market, by rights, if you're successful, you'll try and get copied. Someone will try and copy you. So you have to have barriers for entry that are so high that it's going to be very difficult for someone to copy. And so we put incredible focus onto that packaging and the machinery that we use to make that packaging, because we know Joe Blow can't come out and copy it. But if he can, he won't be able to do it at the price, the volume, the quality that we can.
Are there any patents on that packaging, or it's just the fact that you've got the machinery and, it's expensive?
There's definitely no patents on it. But back in 1995, when this technology was developed, it was absolutely unique globally. Since then, people have caught up, etc. But in a market in Australia with 23 million people, we own and dominate this market in that space for that click shut box. And it'd take a brave man to try and steal that mantle off us.
Innovation seems to be at the forefront of the way Ferndale go about business. In fact, I've connected since connecting with you. I've connected with your head of innovation on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Tell us about, is there a formal innovation process? Is there a weekly brainstorming that anyone can come to? Is there a staff ideas box? What's the innovation process look like?
It's a whole lot better than it used to be, I can assure you. The innovation process used to be Leigh and Bruce spitballing over a desk, and that was what it was. But these days, no, absolutely, there's definitely a process. We have a stage and gate process that Jess, my innovation manager, runs. But anyone in the business can
Stage and gate?
Yeah, so stage and gate. So every stage, you must be able to shut the gate and say that's completed before you move on. So you'll put an idea in the top, and we will go through everything from, does it fit within our core capabilities? Is it incremental to the business that we currently do? Is it commercially viable? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if any one of those steps and not the gate doesn't get shut on it, then the project doesn't progress. And often you can develop products and ideas and take them all the way through to the end, and then you're like, well, we can't make any money on this. What's the point?
Yeah, right.
So we try and filter the ideas early on, and only the ones that generally meet the business objectives get through. But anyone in the business can put anything into that ideas funnel, and all of it. So we have a QR code that's on all throughout the facility. All the reps have it on the back of their iPads. You scan that QR code and it takes you to an MPD form, and you can just put your ideas down. If you've seen something in the trade that you like, you can attach a photo, and all of that will end up on Jess's desk. And then at her weekly R&D, innovation meeting, those ideas will be laid out on the table. And as a team, we will then determine which ones go into the funnel. And often things will pop out the bottom. And that's, for someone working on the shop floor, to have an amazing idea and the capability to get that in front of Jess or myself or even Bruce, is something that really drives them and contributes to a positive culture.
It is embraced, is it? The QR code is embraced from the shop floor through to sales, through to corporate office.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
fantastic. Are they rewarded? So the lady on the shop floor, the factory floor, packing the boxes, hits the QR code, says, "I reckon you should do this." Yep. It either is just a fun idea or it makes you $1 million. How do you reward that lady?
So we have an internal rewards and recognition program that runs throughout the whole business, and there's a lot of different things that can be rewarded and recognised for. Some is good output, some is good sales numbers, some is great culture, some is training, but one is ideas, incentives, or cost-saving initiatives that can generate financial prosperity to the business. So if someone comes forward with an outstanding product idea that is then commercialised, absolutely they will be rewarded and recognised for that.
You've been in business 28 years, Leigh. And again, this is very subjective. I've already told you I don't like two of your brand names. So, what would I know? I like the product, mate, with full respect here.
Yeah.
You've got Gila Mints, you've got Joel's, Liquorette, Jelly Bean Factory, Real Gum, Slim Fruit, So Soft Marshmallows. 28 years. Should you have more brands, or is there a commitment to going, no, we have a small amount of brands and we do it really, really well?
I think it's that. But what we also do is we have a huge private label business.
Yes.
40% of my business at Ferndale is in other people's brands. So we are diversified, and we've spread the risk by having some outstanding private label customers, but we also do our own brands, and we like to think that every brand we launch, it has the ability to become number one. It might not ever get there, and it might not ever get there because it's in our portfolio. We don't have 100 sales reps, we don't have offices all around the world. But we like to think if it was in the portfolio of a Cadbury, Nestle, Mars Wrigley, it would absolutely have the opportunity to become number one. So we don't launch anything that generally can't compete or be commercialised into a significant brand, because we can't afford for it to go bad. And so we've got a bottom drawer with 30, 40 ideas, products, brands, but we just haven't launched those products because there's something not right. We just don't feel that they can become number one. Maybe a cost, it may be quality, it may be the flavour profile's not right for the current environment, maybe the wrong season. And we like to think that the products we do in such big volumes that we get highly efficient results in the facilities. The first thing I did when I became general manager was delete 7 products because they were inefficient and they were tying up valuable time on the lines. And so I think focus is one of our primary business principles.
Can you just put this private label thing to bed once and for all? I've got my consumer hat on now, as of all my listeners. You've got in the supermarket, you've got things like black and gold and that blue and white sort of cheapo looking brand, generic brand. Mm-hmm. Then you've got the Coles brand or the Woolworths brand, and then you've got the brand. Who's making the cheapo brand and the Coles or Woolworths brand, and are they as good as the really expensive brands?
I think the answer is the majority coming out of the same factory. And what I can say with absolute great confidence, and I'll use the German supermarket chain here in Australia as an example. In order for a product to be listed as a private label product in their stores, the quality QA checks that go into it is probably the single hardest thing in Australia. So you can be assured that the products that are in private label are, the same, if not better quality. And also, I guess, the checks, balances and testing that goes into those products are, more than likely more, I guess, checked and more investigated than the brands.
So if old tight ass here is buying his Heinz baked beans for $2 a can, the Coles baked beans are $1 a can, I really should be buying the $1 a can every day of the week.
And the reality is the quality is probably better. Isn't
that incredible?
And the QA program that sits behind it is probably a whole lot tighter.
And this just demonstrates the power of branding, doesn't it? Like, because you still go, many of us are still buying the Heinz baked beans, right? Because we've been brainwashed by advertising. Let's talk about advertising and marketing. Confectionery brands, Leigh, have historically used media for awareness, like mass media, TV, outdoor, press, print, radio. But the media landscape in 2023, it's pretty bloody fragmented. So how do you get your messages out there? You've had great TV commercials in the past, but What happens these days?
Yeah, and you're right. And probably before my time, Bruce, my father, used to say, Leigh, it's very easy. I can hit 85% of our customers with a 30-second commercial during Neighbours.
Anymore.
And it was a fail-safe, tried and true tactic. These days, it is incredibly difficult. And I think what is happening these days is the same media budget is spread so thin across so many different mediums. Cut through is, nearly impossible. And once upon a time, you would advertise and you would get a spike. You'd see it the next day. If
Absolutely.
you ran a TV commercial on a Tuesday, you'd see the spike on a Wednesday. We're probably not great at it, if I'm honest. We don't have the big budgets. We need to be very targeted. So what we try to do is actually do more experiential events, etc. So I'll give you a recent example. Recently in Melbourne, they had their Raggalette igloos down at Flinders Street Station, where you would sit around a campfire, drink some French wine. People would pay $100 a head, etc., and go to. So we sponsor that with our marshmallows because we like to. People are going to be there taking photos and Instagramming and all of that. So we think creating memorable moments with our customers in those scenarios, and really all that costs me is the donation of the product,
yes,
and a few other things. So for us, we try and do more product sampling where people can taste, touch, feel, as opposed to the mass marketing on TV, internet, etc. Because cut through for a business of our size is nearly impossible.
Yeah, what a challenge. I mean, thank you for being honest and saying you haven't necessarily, got it nailed, because I'm not sure how many businesses have. And, I grew up in an advertising agency myself, where, you just buy TV schedules and radio schedules, and you'd look at the data the next day. And as you say, there were spikes, but it's just not like that anymore. And unless you're willing to really kind of roll the sleeves up and, as you say, do events, do social media, do some advertising, do some product play, goodness me, you need a massive team these days to do that. I imagine you have a brand manager per brand, or
no, we don't actually. So I handle all of the sales of all
control freak.
Yeah, but I've divested out of factories. I'm happy to say that.
Yeah.
But I still probably spend half my time in them. But no, I think we don't have a brand manager, and again, it's probably a cost thing as much as anything. We certainly need to behave like big business, but I think there can be so many levels of management and staffing, etc., that you can lose control somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
So we generally manage, on account basis rather than brands.
Mm-hmm.
So no, there's absolutely opportunity for us to have more resources, but the well's not as deep as it once was. So you need to make cuts somewhere, and there's some of the areas that we have to cut.
Have you embraced AI at all, Leigh?
I won't say I've embraced it, but I definitely use it. And where I use it is for things such as trying to create back of pack romance copy, as an example. So I might pop in a few words about a marshmallow product for back of pack. AI will then spit out this delightful, sentence or something like that.
Did you say back of pack romance copy?
Correct.
That's shop talk. What do you mean?
So on the back of a packet of confectionery, we might say something like, "So soft marshmallows are deliciously air puffed in regional Victoria." Right. Blah blah blah. So it's the romance that goes with the product. So AI has been unbelievable in developing that sort of copy, and also developing scripts around marketing plans and programs. It's quite fascinating. It's quite scary.
Oh yeah.
But I think there's a role to play, and if you don't embrace it, you will get left behind.
You are embracing it from a marketing messaging point of view. You're a business that's very family driven, very people focused. AI has the potential. I mean, I imagine now But certainly in 5 years' time, for you to walk into the Ferndale factory floor and there not being many people there, how do you resist that?
I think the people will always have a place, and the place that people have is, I don't think AI is ever going to be able to check that the bag of marshmallows is sealed correctly, the date is legible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe. Well, not in our lifetime, because, and when I say our lifetime, we're a traditional family, and there's some non-negotiables in the facility, and there's a lot of opportunity to automate, more areas than are, but we still genuinely believe that people have a role to play.
I think what you're saying is, I would have thought right now there'd be some AI out there that can read an expiry date and check if a pack's not sealed. I think what you're saying is Ferndale as a business will resist that, because at the expense of margin, that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's really beautiful. It's really refreshing to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the business model we have created is a business model that we're happy with. Could the margin be greater? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Could we probably do what we do with a few less people? Absolutely. But we don't need to.
Yeah, love it.
And that's the mandate that we like to try and keep the culture, alive and well here.
Do you really, you are for overseas listeners or interstate listeners, Ferndale's in regional Victoria. Do you get deeply involved in the community as a business?
Yeah, it depends, I guess, the definition of deeply, but some examples is, as a manufacturer here in Ballarat, we're absolutely growing, and by next Christmas I'll, employ around 100 local families. So I think we have a role to play, and we know what that role is. And, the thing that frustrates me more than anything is careers advisors telling kids that manufacturing is dead and there's no future in it. Because the perception of manufacturing is it's stacking boxes on pallets, and it's the car industry and all this sort of stuff, where, modern manufacturing and our new sites are testament to that, is robots, is high-speed automation. And so our role in the community is, we've done some work with the education department where we actually invited 50 careers advisors into our facility to show them that manufacturing is not dead. It's actually alive and well, and it's thriving. And so trying to educate some of these careers advisors, etc., that not every kid wants to be a doctor, not everyone wants to be a dentist, not everyone wants to be a pilot. Some youth and children today may want to come to work at 7, finish at 3, and not have the stresses of a job.
100%.
Afterwards, and manufacturing is an outstanding industry to cater to those people, and we need them and we want them. So I think our role in the community is exactly that: is providing pathways. Using the team that I have to speak at industry days and speak to kids, and we also support with a lot of our product, etc., that's close to expiry, goes to the 3BA Christmas appeal. We support a lot of sporting clubs, but as we should.
Love it.
As we should.
Speaking of manufacturing, you do co-manufacturing, Leigh, so it's time for me to
here we go.
Share the big ideas. Who should I invoice for this anyway before I give you these ideas?
You can send it through to PO Box Bin.
Righto, Leigh. Now, here's my first idea. This podcast is called the Small Business Big Marketing Show. The acronym is SBBM. So my idea is for you to create Small Business Big Mints. And there's a tagline, don't let bad breath lose the business. And the packaging includes quick conversation starters, making them collectible. Are we ready to go?
Mate, I actually think we could really work on this, and the collectible pit's what I love. Maybe we could put them in tins, and each tin had a feature of one of your podcast guests.
Brilliant.
And you got to collect the whole set.
Brilliant. Oh, I love this. The first podcaster in the world with his own mints.
Correct, and you can collect all 616 of them, which I think is how many episodes you've had.
Well, mate, I put out an episode every week, so you'll be busy manufacturing new tins because I think we'll probably sell 10 or 12 a week.
It's good run rates in major retail.
All right, now here we go. Next idea: suckable hard candies with emojis on them, and they're called Yumojis. Oh,
Yumojis. Are they going to have a better for you aspect? If they had a better for you aspect, maybe you could have a tagline that was safe sucks.
Right. Well, they could be good for you. Like if you had the smiley face, then that's got positive energy around smiling. Or if you've got the one that looks like a little turd, that gives you a gut ache. So they're medicinal.
If podcasting doesn't turn out to what you want it to be in 20 years, well, I might have a job for you, Timbo.
Thank you, Leigh. One last one. I've already done marshmallows. They're the chili-infused marshmallows. Savoury bubblegum. Roast chicken flavour, cheeseburger flavour. We call them salties.
Salties. That might not be one for me. You might need to find someone from Snack Brands, Pringles or other to take that one to market.
Geez, thanks for your support. Now I know how your staff feel when they come to Leigh with an idea.
That one fell out of the funnel.
Leigh, you're a lucky man working in confectionery, mate. Do you ever feel like you're Willy Wonka?
It's funny. For 15 years, I tried to be a good footballer around the country leagues, and now I'm known locally as the Marshmallow Man.
Oh,
used to put this hard perception on. Now I'm the soft, squishy bloke.
Yeah. As long as you're not the Michelin Man.
Correct.
Even he was trimmed up, though. I had a beautiful old tin sign of the original Michelin Man he was fat. That was the whole idea because he protected you. But now they had to trim him up because of political correctness.
We won't even go there.
Don't go there, mate. All right, Marshmallow Man, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. And well done on Ferndale and its growth and its brands and everything you've done. I just think it's a great story.
No, and really appreciate it. And hopefully your listeners enjoyed. And
no doubt.
Please reach out. And if anyone wants to buy some products, hopefully you can find them at your local.
And if you've got an idea, just send it to P.O. Box Bin. It'll get there eventually. Thanks, Leigh.
Good on you, Timbo. Take care.
Well, there you go, team. Ferndale Foods owner and all-round good guy, Leigh Edward. A big thank you to long-time listener Nicole Ashby from High Profit Media for bringing him to our attention. Now, I really love exploring the stories of business owners like Leigh. They feel very real and very authentic. No fancy stuff, just a solid, sensible and considered approach to long-term growth governed by a set of values that make Ferndale a great place to work. Very similar to recent past guests, Dario Caccini, the 8th generation Tuscan butcher. I loved that episode. And Hugh Crothers, the founder of sexual wellbeing brand Drip. Both great examples that build on what Leigh is doing with Ferndale. If you enjoyed what Leigh shared, please send him a note of gratitude via his LinkedIn. He won't be hard to find. Leigh Edward, Ferndale Foods. At this point, I'd normally ask what grabbed your attention and then give you the phone number of the Small Business Big Marketing Hotline for you to leave a message that I'd play on air to 15,000 small business owners. However, the take-up of that offer over the last few months has been pretty poor. So sadly, I'm putting the hotline on ice, making it a cold line, I guess. Righto, it's time for you to take action on what you've learned because ideas remain exactly that without action. If you'd like to support the work I do for small businesses and want even more of me, then check out my exclusive business owner membership at patreon.com/marketing podcast. Membership starts at a tax-deductible $8.50 a month and you can trial the silver tier, which is $47 a month for 7 days without obligation. At that point, you're just going to get a whole lot of marketing inspiration and insights and things to help you move that beautiful business of yours forward. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already on your favourite podcast app because there's 645 more chats with successful business founders like the one you've just heard. A big thank you to Sam Heathcote for stitching the marketing gold together and our in-house rock star Lockie Doley for the music bed. I think Lockie's doing a European tour at the moment. I've seen some of his photos on Facebook. Boy, oh boy, he's playing to big houses. Thousands. More importantly, though, a big thanks to you for making the time to tune in. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it hugely. May your marketing be the absolute best marketing. Bye for now.